A small but extremely powerful chameleon, it can copy anyone's kung fu. The great dragon god like Po also faced many difficulties to cope. The opponent turned into many different shapes. An elephant-like form was executed, grabbed Po with his trunk and knocked him to the ground. Then there is the form of a giant dragon with terrifying sharp teeth, rushing to attack Po. Finally, it is the form of Po with a very creepy eye. Whoever wins this fight, Po can once again turn the tables against such a tough opponent. Let's follow the movie. In a mining ore lit by industrious mountain goat workers, it is suddenly vandalized by a jaguar, Tai Long. A defeated general at the hands of Po. This time he returns with a thirst for revenge, saying that even if Po appears, it will only be mosquitoes to him. On this side, the fat bear dragon god Po is fighting a blue stingray. With a non-trivial body, the stingray makes Po quite hard. It uses its water advantage, jumps up from the bottom to attack Po. Po uses his superior attack to dodge the art, then grabs its tail with his hand, binds it tightly and lands like a stylish surfer. Successfully rescued 2 piglets. Po then remembered that his father was still waiting at home and rushed back to the village gate, where there were many fans waiting for him to get autographs. Po was also very enthusiastic to sign everyone's autographs, unexpectedly even graffiti on his master's forehead. Po held the jade staff of the elder demon in his hand. He said that whoever has this staff to become the first master of the world, can use it to open the door of the spirit realm. He then slammed the ground hard with his staff to open the noodle shop. Fat Po also picked up the children in the village to take pictures as a souvenir, but did not understand how to hold his master by mistake, accidentally making the 2 teachers and students have a very beautiful photo. The 2 teachers stepped onto the Jade Hall. Po is still the same as in the early days, climbing and breathing. Master told Fat Po that he should find a successor to his position as a great dragon god so that he could advance to a higher level, a spiritual leader for this peaceful valley. Po still didn't understand his master's words. He was sure that his master wanted him to work like the elder Gui, which was why the elder trusted him with the staff. Without saying much, Master will hold a conference tomorrow morning. Po will also be there to select someone who can replace him. Dawn broke out, and all the heroes on the gypsy gathered in full force at the Jade Hall. First, a buffalo knight came from nowhere, executing smooth fruit slashing moves. Then there is a very serious pig who performs his extremely artistic ring dance. His hands' 6 sparkling rings are performed in the air very vividly, making Po so excited that he couldn't sit still. The goat knight used a calm paw rotation technique, which in just a few rounds shattered a dozen boards. Next was a burly goat athlete, smashing a large rock with his head. Po then took the best candidates, picking them out with his finger, but didn't expect Po's finger to turn around in a big circle back to himself. To the surprise of the master and the great chief standing below. Master led Po to a mountaintop for healing meditation. But unexpectedly, his mind was full of food, and then there were images of psychological struggle in his head. At this time, Po discovered that there was a sudden break-in the Jade Palace. Po immediately returned. He opened the door to call out to see who was in the Jade Palace. He had a small body, so he hid behind Po. Po finally looked at the statue of the elder and spotted the intruder. Discovered, he used the sharp blade to attempt to cut some of Po's secretions, but Po and his men easily caught the blade. Po clumsily dropped his staff again, and he was also quite surprised to see that the legendary dragon god was here later. Po was too spicy to try to teach him a lesson. At this time the hobbyist also revealed himself to be a fox, threw the chain that tied Po's hands, then touched the ancient object. Po struggled to catch it, but finally the whispering vase that Po broke once again shattered. Po was so annoyed that he smashed him a jar and fainted. This cunning man was actually just pretending. When Po didn't notice, he stole his staff and used a grasshopper move to kick Po. Po couldn't help it anymore now, used the technique of closing the door to release the dog, then kicked the stone pillars towards the stinger. Although his elaboration was quite tall, he did not anticipate the height of the staff. Po used a tight tie on the spot, then threw him in an iron crib awaiting trial. At this time, the mountain goat workers came to inform Po that Tai Long had returned and was extremely beneficial than before. Po heard it and felt quite surprised because he was not in the spirit realm now. Po goes down to the mine shaft alone. He finds very suspicious footprints. Obviously it is just a Tai Long impersonator. Po returns to ask the fox who the attacker at the mine is, to which the fox replies that she may want Po to think he is Tai Long. Po wonders who she is. She is the queen of lizards. She can transform into tens of thousands of different shapes. Po decides to release the fox so that it can lead him to the lizard to ask why he wants to fight with him in this peaceful valley. At this time, everyone in the valley also began to talk very much about this lizard queen. In a meeting of the gangsters, the brown bear tells him that the queen is just a lip dancing class that doesn't matter. Just wants him to be able to handle her in a split second. The wild boar interrupted and said that she had the ability to deform and blend into any group of people, turning into a cunning blue-eyed queen. The frightened crowd told us that we had just missed our words, and the lizard queen said that if we wanted to atone for our sins, double the tribute next month. Unable to take it anymore, the brown bear stood up and was about to be a hero, when she didn't expect her to turn into a giant elephant that used a one-way trunk to push the brown bear down the stairs. In the forest, Po still accompanied the cunning fox, but not far away. His father chased him to the place. He worried about the safety of this fat man. On the way they also acquired a rabbit no less sneaky. They stopped at a small lodge, where many rogue elements gathered, and as soon as they opened the door, the blades flew wildly. The cunning fox with his abilities also enlisted to earn some coins. He entertained everyone with a hearty table of food. Po, while eating and drinking, accidentally touched the fox, causing it to drop a whole bunch of mahjong on the ground to reveal his trick. The boar mistress saw this and exploded her fireflies, then ordered her subordinates to arrest the group of charlatans. The fight caused the whole diner to sway. The fox quickly dodged and counterattacked. Po was forever worried about the unfortunate victims of being contaminated. The fox took advantage of the situation of taking people's money. Po saw that and stopped him and did not let him be satisfied. They all rushed in such large numbers that they had to use their staffs. Then two bright lights flew out, and they all lay on the floor. The boar mistress saw this and rushed out to die, her hands and two iron hooks ready to hook Po's everything, using a slashing move that made Po very difficult to dodge. Po and the fox were then knocked out and fell into the old man's boat. The two have also gradually become closer to each other, due to orphanage, since childhood foxes have had to steal food. The hard life makes it gradually become cunning and wary of those around him. Po dreams that the queen lizard is preparing a plan to be a boss, until the defendant slaps him for a shot before he wakes up. At that time, the boat also reached the city. This place was extremely bustling. Po stepped off the boat, but in his mind it was all food and forgot his task. It wasn't long before Po found out he was a wanted criminal. Po then uses his reputation as a chivalrous dragon god to negotiate, resulting in being sent back to prison with foxes for friends. The fox immediately took out the universal key to unlock the cage and fled with Po. The buffalo-headed soldiers gave chase fiercely. The fox jumped over the high wall with the pole, and Po was too big to break the wall quickly. The fox led Po to run to a sewer pipe mount, then played a slide game until he got to the other end of the pipe. He sat on a car and disturbed the street. The buffalo heads were still so diligently chasing that they crushed all the roofs of people. Po swung back and forth like a Spider-Man, then carelessly fell into a durian car. Fortunately, the fat was thick, so it was okay. Together, they chased into an antique shop. Each of them crept gently for fear of breaking it and sold themselves to pay off their debts. The fox opened the lid of the drum, pushed Po down. Under it was his territory, but down there Po met some rabbits that were small but extremely kicking. They jumped to each other to bite Po, causing him quite pain. As soon as he got rid of them, countless spear soldiers were pointing at him, and were about to fight back, when remembering his master's words, Po immediately went to the water to hold peace. Fortunately, old Han here knew about the reputation of the elder, and the lip dancing of the fox. So everyone temporarily let Po and the fox stay for a night. On this side, Po's father and his friend also reached the restaurant where Po and Fox had messed up, because he did not know the situation. He introduced himself as the father of a raccoon when he was asked for compensation by the neck. The friend outside saw this and played the role of a chieftain who came in to rescue. Just a few basic tricks caused the restaurant to wobble so much that the boar landlady had to show them the direction Po had gone. The next day, Old Man Han also hurriedly chased Po and Fox away. There was no way to leave. Po had to go to the mountain to find the lizard. As soon as he got there, he saw the soldiers still sleeping with their tongues twisted, and the fox motioned to Po to keep quiet and avoid alarming them. As soon as he walked to the Po gate, he itched his nose to blacken. The fox quickly blocked his nose. Unfortunately, that aura ran downwards and leaked from the back line. The guards in less than 2 seconds were startled by that terrible smell. They saw the intruder rushing frantically. Po quickly closed the gate so he could escape a bit. The two flew away from the traps in quick succession. However, Po was eventually caught by an iron cage. The fox suddenly reverently handed the staff to the queen lizard. It turned out to be her disciple. Po was stunned and turned on his back. The fox from a young age who went to steal food was caught by her, but she spared him a life. The fox was moved to follow the service of the queen lizard, because she remembered the scene when she was a child in the same situation as the fox, orphaned without help, hardship, passion for martial arts but no one to teach them. Then she studied magic with the intention of becoming a mother. She wanted to prove to the world that her magical magic can overcome orthodox martial arts sects. The plan to take away the staff has also been cherished by her for a long time. She wanted to go to the spirit realm to free the spirit masters. Po, hearing this, could not calm down anymore. He frantically punched the iron cribs so frantically that it punctured the bottom, causing Po to fall down. Down there, Po alone clashed with the guards, although fat and slow every day. But Po's body became extraordinarily agile. One punch and one kick knocked down each guard. Their tails swirled around so that every one of them had to squeeze without daring to come close. Po went up to see the fox in his hand holding the staff. He approached and did not expect that it was the lizard that had turned into a shot. Po fell into the depths. The fox in the distance felt extremely heartbroken, thinking that Po was dead. The big Po, blessed the big life, caught a stump growing out at the cliff. Suddenly a small lizard jumped out of nowhere to push Po down the cliff. Po's father appeared from nowhere and threw it back and forth. Unfortunately, the stump, due to not being able to withstand the weight, was half broken. Fortunately, Po's other panda father held Po's hand to save the two people's lives. Po was quite disappointed when he thought that his two fathers did not trust him, so he came here. Po also blamed himself for being too naive, bringing his staff to the enemy with his own hands. Soon the world would be in danger. The two fathers used all their affection to comfort Po to regain the courage to fight. The queen lizard was now preparing for her summoning ritual, the dome above opening with a full moon. She danced a few lines with her staff. A light and a gate of light opened. Tai Lung came out from the inside, but he refused the request to pass on the martial arts to her. She immediately locked the gate and the juniors immediately rushed to attack Tai Lung. It was true that those who did not know the thick heavens and earth dared to touch a belligerent like Tai Lung. Just a few basic lines. Tai Lung had already taken down all those little screams. The lizard then turns into a soldier and successfully attacks Tai Ling, taking away his secrets and internal attacks. With just one move, she was able to hit Tai Lung fit in an iron cage. She continued with her plan, summoning Sen and Kai to steal their elaboration. Po was now up to the top. The fox met Po and was extremely happy that his friend was still alive. After a few fights, the fox took the initiative to hug Po to redeem himself. Po was still angry, so he didn't say anything and quietly left. The fox used 3 socks of his tongue to call for a lot of reinforcements for Po. Po walked inside and met Tai Lung. He saw Po was extremely disappointed. He didn't understand how the elder could choose such a person as a great dragon god. Po's narcissistic blood also surfaced, and he was determined that he would get his staff back and return it to all the masters here. Po's panda father continued to use the pretense of being a knight to threaten the guards, but did not expect to be chased by them. But this was just a plan. He deliberately led them to the place where the baby rabbits were waiting. The little ones jumped up and showed off their teeth and frantically bit the guards. From above, Old Han's reinforcements also rushed to attack. Po's two fathers just sat and shook their thighs and watched. The rest was left for Po and his comrades to deal with. Po inside met the queen lizard, met Po again. She immediately threw him back the staff because she was confident with the elaborations she learned. Po is aware of her situation and shows sympathy and once again prays for peace, but she does not listen and clearly shows her desire to make people happy. Po is also reluctant to turn on the main character mode and fight. He rushed over. The lizard transformed into a Sen to support the attack, then successively turned into other masters to counterattack Po. Although it was just a copy, her ability to strike was not inferior to the original. In addition, the ability to transform magic is also the point that makes the moves extremely unpredictable. Seeing that Po is struggling to resist, the fox swinging downwards to help his friend did not expect to become harmful when caught by her. Luckily there was a mark of chi, so he escaped from her hand. The lizard now became enraged and wanted to end this war as soon as possible. She transformed into a monster form that combined all the shapes she had learned, with a huge body that was like a fortress. She grabbed the fox flying from the fortress, and Po jumped after her staff and blocked her mouth full of sharp teeth. The struggle caused Po to fall down, and the fox saw that and ran back to see who suspected it was the lizard incarnate. She wanted to use Po's form to fight him. She wrapped Po with her tongue, then turned him around all over his face. Then she released a blue flame that melted the iron cribs and threw it at Po. Po used her hand to support her in great pain. She saw that she rushed forward to continue the attack, soon able to lock Po in an iron crib. Unable to counterattack, Po handed over the staff to the fox, but the ensuing fight was uneven. The queen lizard, without spending any effort, can still act on the ground. At the most critical moment, the fox suddenly remembered Po's move. Holding the staff gently waving, a light of truth appeared, shooting directly at the lizard, sending her flying into the wall with her tongue. The fox turns around to see that Po has left the cage. It turns out that Po did not lose but just pretended to let the fox join the war. It was time for Po to find himself a successor, and the chosen one was the fox. The lizard still hadn't given up the idea of jumping up and sneaking. Po took the staff with a shot straight to the head that sent her flying wildly. Then he even returned all the elaboration to the martial arts masters who had been harmed by her. They all respected and recognized Po's abilities, bowing respectfully in unison. Po danced his stick and opened a door to the spirit realm, bringing them back to where they were supposed to belong. The fight was over. Po brought the fox back to his master. He was drinking tea when he spat it all out, but only grumbled a few sentences and then went away because he knew that he had put his trust in this fat and dumb bear. The fox began training alongside the 5 knights and on his way to becoming one of the knights. Those are also the final episodes of the film. Thank you for taking the time to follow. If you see it, or click like and follow. See you in the next movies.